Welcome back to the Prize Fighting Business. I'm your host, Daniel Casedo, and today my guest is owner, founder, and head coach at Apex Combat and Fitness Gym in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and former Muay Thai fighter, Gary Barrett.
Hey Dan, thanks man. Great for you to come through and to meet us, and let's get rolling.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. And so you just opened this gym, Apex Combat, MMA and Fitness.
Correct. 24th of last month, 24th November, we officially opened. We were running skeleton classes for the month prior to that, but officially 24th of last month, so 3 weeks ago.
So opening a new gym, what does that process look like as far as a timeline? Like from concept to knowing you wanted to open a gym to actually doing it. What did that look like?
Yeah, it can be very swift if you know what you're doing. This is not my first gym. I've had 3 locations in Cape Town, South Africa, 1 location in Germany, a second one which is still currently running there, and this is my first in the States. So from concept to getting the lease signed, we were ready from start build in June, July, and ready for August 1st. It was a 2-month build process, and to begin August 1st. We had, having everything in place. We only opened in November 24th due to permitting issues with the city and the landlord of the building, but we were ready within 3 months.
Wow, okay, so 3 months to get it from concept to permitted, and then essentially 5 months to full opening of the gym.
Yeah, if it could still have been 3 months if it were done correctly from the landlord and city perspective.
Sure. But
that's out of our hands.
That's that red tape.
That's the red tape bureaucracy between her and the city going back and forth saying, yes, you can, no, you can't, yes, you can, no, you can't. And me just sitting there, well, we're ready, let's go, So,
yeah. And like you said, you've had experience opening gyms in other countries, different bureaucratic processes. So I'm sure it's just navigating it.
It's just navigating it. And once you meet some of the right people, like I did when I finally met the assistant town manager, within 2 days, I had my temporary permit to open, as opposed to just asking nicely. Other people can take 3 months. And other people I've spoken about saying, they've been 6 months sitting and paying rent for those times. So each place is a learning curve. You pick up some things, and other places you're like, okay, that was easier than expected. And other places you think would be easy, were not. So, you got to roll with the punches.
And your gym is located in Fort Mill, South Carolina, so just over the border of North Carolina, convenient to both locations.
Yeah, absolutely. So central, downtown, technically Fort Mill. From here to the state line, Charlotte, probably about 20 minutes away. Not even, 15, 20 minutes. So it's pretty close. We got people coming in from Lancaster, from Lake Norman, Lake Wiley, from Waxhaw, North Carolina, all around. So it's pretty central. It works.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell us about the styles that you have practiced here at this gym and what kinds of classes you have.
Well, as you know, we do Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA. Don't be shy. You're the coach for those 2 classes here. So I'm glad to have you. And I was very, very fortunate that you got in touch and you came to train. And we put it out there, and I think we worked nicely together. But essentially, my specialities over the years have been the striking arts, learning boxing from a young age as an amateur from the age of 9 to 12, crossing over from 12 to about 15 with Muay Thai kickboxing with an unknown that I didn't know who he was until later, David Bland, who was a Commonwealth Muay Thai champion. He was my older sister's boyfriend. And then moving from that, I really fell in love with Muay Thai from a holistic point of view, that it wasn't just like Western boxing or just kickboxing without that sort of history and culture behind it. Karate has a very deep history rooted in the Japanese culture and the Budo way, where kickboxing technically didn't. It was just a westernized sport, just like Western boxing. And the Muay Thai side of it coming from Siam, and the Muay Boran side of it, where it was very much more respectful. I fell in love with that side of it. David gave me a book, read up on it. Back in those days, we didn't have the internet, fast access, dial-up internet. And that just took forever to download pictures. So the books were still in. And then I met Mike Bernardo, who's South Africa's greatest kickboxer, Muay Thai fighter. He fought at K1 Japan in the heavyweight division fought all the greats there, was a winner, Muay Thai champ, boxing, WBF, WBU boxing champ. And so that was my main reason to try to move to go do this professionally. Virgil Calicoto, Steve Calicoto's son, he was our training partner. He fought Pacquiao, Japan K1 Max. So we had a strong team. Jan, the Giant Nokia, was also part of that team. I mean, these guys are monsters compared to us at that time. 75 Ks or 150 pounds, training with 200, 300 pound guys or something else. Great learning lesson. And then, my boxing career and amateur career, I was young and foolish, made some mistakes. I got an opportunity to fight for Branko Milinkovic, which was one of the biggest promoters for boxing in South Africa. And I went out the Friday, said, okay, I'm going to start training camp on Monday. And went out Friday, ended up getting to a bar fight with a bunch of people, broke my hand. And I never got that opportunity to go and fight because I broke my hand. I mean, it's gone, it's broken, finished. So I had to call him, and then he bounced me. He's like, hey, man, you messed up, and we'll call you. That call never came again. So I, went into business, working, and kept training and teaching and learning. And then opened my first gym in 2009, Takedown Mixed Martial Arts Academy in Cape Town. That was a hugely successful gym, massive space. Created a lot of amateur champions in both kickboxing and Muay Thai. And then MMA, we created Bruno Makulu for Dricus du Plessis from South Africa, as we all know he is. Josh Light, Cape Fight League champion. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champs, etc., etc. So that was a highly successful gym. We then moved that location 2015 to 2017 when I sold that gym, moved to Thailand, lived in Thailand, trained in Thailand, fought in Thailand professionally Muay Thai, came back to South Africa, opened another gym called True Muay Thai in Bree Street in Cape Town, ran that successfully, trained more fighters, international boxing fighters, Mazonke Fana, 3-time world champion, David Rajuli, 2-time All-African WBF champions. This is boxing. My own son started training when he was 4.5, and when we lived in Thailand, he had his first fight in Thailand, full Thai rules as a 7-year-old boy. I think still to this date is the youngest non-Thai person to have fought in Thailand, if I stand corrected. He definitely was back then. He's 15 now. That's on my YouTube channel. You can watch that. And
what's your YouTube channel's name?
What's that?
What's the YouTube channel's name?
It's Gary Barrett Apex. Can share a link to it.
So you were essentially going into coaching at the same time as you were fighting, as you were gaining more experience traveling to Thailand. You had opened a gym already in Cape Town. You'd been training fighters, but you decided, I guess, to sell the gym or move on from that gym location and then go to Thailand to train further and bring your family along.
Well, yeah. So at that time, we had been with Takedown Gym for 8 years. Started the gym. After about 2 years, we moved into the gym. I turned a 1,000 square foot dance studio, which I built for my wife because she was a dancer, into our home where we lived.
Oh, wow.
And then when we moved locations from that location to a second location, we also lived in the gym in like a studio apartment in the gym. So it was tough on us in a spatial space, for the wife, son, kids living in a gym 24/7, gym. She has a full-time job of her own. She'd have to walk across the mats to go shower. Our kitchen was on the far side of the gym, and these are 8,000 square foot facilities. So it's really big. So there's no real privacy except when everybody leaves at 9 o'clock at night. And then, she's my princess. She's my queen. She's my wife. So I wanted comfortable for her. So I said, okay, let's sell, resign your job. We go to Thailand. And maybe we'll open a gym in Thailand. Let's see. We went through that procedure and that whole investigative point of view as South Africans or non-Thais. You cannot open a business there without giving 50% away to a Thai partner. Right. But I have really good friends there and people that I trust wholly that I could have done it with. But something goes wrong, with the amount of funds we had as South African currency, not dollars. It's not as strong. So the risk was quite high. Decided not to do that. And we went back to South Africa with the intention always to leave South Africa for a for the crime and the instability of South Africa. That's a whole other discussion. But so we went back, we opened True Muay Thai, sold that off again, and then moved back to Thailand for 3 months was the plan, all whilst training and competing. Then Corona hit, got stuck on a small island for 3 months, couldn't leave the island and nobody could come on for 3 months. So that was beautiful. And if you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see the locations and the spaces and the kind of training that we did, because the Muay Thai gym that was there was closed. They weren't allowed to operate, but we did our own training in the room, in the outdoor area of the place we lived. I found some old mattresses, wrapped them around the concrete pillar, put some PVC flooring around it, and made that our punching bag. We did drills every single day, different locations. We ran every day, we cycled every day, we swam every day. And then when Corona finally lifted, we went to Phang Nga by longtail boat, got on a scooter. The three of us drove across Thailand on that scooter to Khao Lak, trained at Rawai gym, drove back, then moved there for a month, stayed at that camp for a month training, then moved down to Phuket again, where I've always basically lived and trained and fought for Krusak and Crew Pat at Phuket Single Muay Thai. Great little gym on Soi Tayed, Fight Street. And it's just a community I know there very, very well. So yeah, that was great fun. And then we went to Germany, where we lived for the last 4 years before moving here a year ago. Opened Apex Muay Thai gym there, very successful. Sold that off when we decided to come to the States. And I think that's it for me as far as locations are concerned.
How did you identify Fort Mill, South Carolina?
Yeah, so Kristen, she works for a company called Britax, Child Safety. Yeah. It's Britax Roma in Germany. And
I think I have a car seat from them.
Yeah. Very high-end, very great quality company. And, she's been working for them for 4 years, and there was opportunity to get to the States. To head the global division. So I said, yeah, let's do it. I think in a previous life, I was probably an American. It suits my personality. And it's English. Ich kann so ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen. But for me, English, please. Thank you. Teaching kiddies in German is tough. And they look at you with big, bright eyes and you're trying to converse in English. It was very successful. We had a ton of kids, and my son helped me with that, and he learned German. But America is the place to be for me for combat sports. Brandon, he's a 2-time Muay Thai champion already at 15. He has great ambitions to continue his Muay Thai career and MMA career, as you well know. So if you're going to do that business, let's do it here in the States. And because she got that contract to come here, the company is in Fort Mill. So here we are. It's not a bad place, to be honest with you, Fort Mill, South Carolina. It's close to Charlotte, so we have the big city. Yep. We have the country style living, very safe, very much of a community feel. We could have been anywhere, to be honest with you, but the school system here is also very good. So yeah, Fort Mill, it works. It's 3 hours to the beach, 2 hours to the mountains. Right. It's okay. Yeah, and absolutely. I met you and a whole bunch of other great people here, so it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's great. So take me back then. So I know you gave us an overview of the journey, but to pin it down, what exactly got you to walk into a martial arts gym for the first time?
At the age of 5, my neighbors' kids were doing karate, and they were play fighting out in the streets. And he said, okay, well, go. My father spoke to his father and said, go with them to karate class. That was 5. I hated karate. It wasn't for me. The bowing and the yes sensei master type of thing. Yeah, I rebelled against authority from every opportunity I could. Anyway, that didn't go so well for me as far as sticking in something. Moved to Cape Town and went to judo. And Mr. Butcher, my judo coach, was Mr. Butcher. So the name says it all. That's literally his surname is Mr. Butcher. And I trained judo with him for about 2 years. So that was at my junior school that we went to. I trained judo. But in the real sense, from real martial arts, was when I met Mike Bernardo. I was 16 years old or so in a nightclub. Obviously should not have been there. But I bumped into him. I looked up at him and thought, oh shit, this could be a problem. And he said, hey, I've heard about you because I used to fight a lot. And he's like, come to my gym rather. Stop doing this type of bad behavior stuff, come to my gym and come and learn for real. Because up until this point, I was pretty good. I could fight. I had a lot of amateur boxing fights, but it's different. Amateurs and professionals completely different. So when I walked into his gym, which was at Youngsfield Army Base in Cape Town, just a carpet, probably a 2,000 square foot space with a wooden base for a boxing ring, bags. And I walked in there with such a big ego, like, hey, this guy and that guy, I'm going to beat him. I want to beat him. I said, okay, fine. The coach said, okay, get in the ring. Go and spar with Virgil, his son. So first couple of rounds, it was 50-50. He sidestepped me, gave me a liver shot, dropped to my knees. I couldn't breathe. And then he said, okay, now humble yourself, shut up, and come and train. Are you ready? I said, yes. So for the first couple of weeks, all I did was hold pads on my legs and on my body for Jan and Mike and everybody else to beat me up. Because he thought he'd get rid of me that way, that it would be too painful, too much of a challenge. But every day I came back, black and blue, purple, every color under the sun. And then he started to teach me, okay, combinations his way. Steve Kellicota, may he rest in peace. He passed away about a month or so ago. Tough as nail coach. Horrible, horrible human being if you only knew him on the mats. You wouldn't want to be with this guy if you only knew him on the mats, because he was nasty, mean. I sat down one time between a round and shouted at him. He said, take your stuff, get the F out of my gym, don't come back if you sit in my gym. So I never sat down again in between rounds. And I guess that's why in my gym, people don't sit in my gym either during the rest.
Fair warning.
Yeah, stay on your feet. The fight is only over after the last bell. That was his mythology. And, learning that way, the hardest way possible, and being kind of like, pushed to the side, because Mike Bernardo and his son were the main elements in that gym. They were the big fish. Those are the ones making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a fight back then. This is like in the early 90s. So it's big money. So here's this young kid, arrogant as hell, eventually broke down some barriers and got some recognition, showed that I'm committed. And that's really what he wanted to see, that I wasn't just a fly-by-night, that I would be committed to the training.
And you'd identified as a fighter, mentally before you were even in that gym. So at that point, it's more like refining the skills.
Well, now it's just shutting up and listening. Everything was just like, I know best. I'm young. I can beat up anybody in the street, so to speak. But the first day in the gym, professional gym, with a peer of my own age who had already had several professional boxing fights, you're nothing. So from the street to a real boxing gym changes everything. And this was, technically speaking, pure boxing and kickboxing, K1 style kickboxing, Dutch kickboxing. And then a little bit later on, Muay Thai came into the picture at that gym when Mike got offered to fight Muay Thai. So then we trained that. Yeah, and then, like I said, I had got that call for that fight, which I broke my hand and never got.
That would have been like your first pro fight.
It would have been a full fight contract.
Okay.
Yeah, to move from Cape Town to Johannesburg.
Oh, wow.
So it was a full fight contract. Branko Milinkovic, say what you want about him. Good or bad promoters, you get them. But he was the number one promoter, like Don King. You know what I mean? You can say what you like about that guy. He made a lot of people famous, but he wasn't the greatest honesty guy out there.
Well, as a fighter, you allude to the point. You only have so many opportunities. Yeah. There's only so many promotions that are reachable when you don't have the funds to go travel the world and fight wherever you want.
So, there's behind stories behind that. I don't like to talk bad about people, but essentially it was like, you'll come and have your full fight contract. You'll win or you will lose when we say so. So it's kind of like, okay, so you're bought and paid for, because they're supplying you with what you couldn't get by yourself. And limited opportunities in South Africa. We're the tip of South Africa, the very bottom of Africa. To go anywhere in the world is super far, super expensive. So unless you're really, really pound for pound going to be something, promoters didn't want to take chances of you. They weren't going to fly you to America or to Europe or Japan at a huge expense to them for you to only not be worth your salt. So you have to really prove yourself in the dog-eat-dog world of South African fighting, which is very limited.
So what are you thinking then? What are you thinking when you break your hand and you're like, dang, I've been working so hard. I came to this gym. I thought I was ready. And, here goes my opportunity. What do you do from there?
I think physically I was definitely ready. Mentally, I would say now, if I look back at it, if I was mentally ready as well, I wouldn't have gone out that Friday night. You know what I mean? I would have just said no.
Right.
I thought, hey, I can do anything.
You're invincible.
If I flapped my arms, I thought I could fly. I was that fit. You know what I mean? It was everything was possible. There was no doubt in my mind that if I go out, Monday I will start training. It just so happened that,
Didn't work out that time.
Didn't work out that time. So anyway, it's fine. I've been training people in my gyms. Even before in my gym, I started training people out of Steve's gym.
Got it.
Russell van Heerden, he fought Chris Bright at the very first MMA fight in South Africa back in 2001.
You always had a pull to be training people then. It wasn't just like you were in it to be a fighter. You were like, oh, I want to share my knowledge with others as well.
Yeah, people would just naturally come to me. They would see that you're good at it, you're a good fighter, etc. And then they want to train with you. So you start training them. And then it goes from there. I had a warehouse space where every night we would move all the equipment out of the way, put down some makeshift mats, hang up a bag or two on there, do pads, do grappling, boxing, sparring. Eventually in that gym, that warehouse, I put up poles and make makeshift boxing ring to train out of. Me and Mohammed Solomon, South African heavyweight boxing champion, trained out of there with us. And then we had 30, 40 people out of that space. And then I was working full time for Mercedes-Benz and BMW, first Mercedes, then BMW. And then I was like, okay, we got to open a gym. I can't do both successfully. In my opinion, I'm going to leave the corporate world and I'm going to teaching full time. And I did take down Mixed Martial Arts Academy 2009. And yeah, never looked back since. I've only been doing that since 2009.
So tell me the difference between opening a gym, I guess, and training a fighter. Is that one and the same for you?
Well, opening the gym is a business because it is a business. You got to pay bills. You got to pay the rentals. You got to pay staff. You got to, pay your sanctioning fees to certain affiliations and so forth. So that's a business side of it. The fighter side of it is like very small percentage. So in a gym of 100 people, maybe 10 of them would want to fight. Maybe one of those 10 is going to cut the mustard and take it somewhere. So it's a very rare diamond that will be super successful with it.
So you don't focus, when you start a gym, you're not thinking, if this gym is here to train champions explicitly, this is more of a gym for the masses?
It's both. It's definitely both. So when I opened this gym, several current fighters want to train with me. But I'm very picky with whom I'm going to spend my time with as a professional fighter because they don't generally pay. They want to train for free. And you got to spend a lot of extra hours until they become successful to get your share of their success. And you're going to create that success for them. But I also have now, let's say, 99 other people that want my time in the classes. So it's both, but I'm very selective of who I'm going to take on that fighter journey, but everybody else are here to train as if they were fighters. I don't train people here in the classes like, well, you're not a fighter, so I'm not going to push you as hard. No. If you decide to stay, you're going to be on the same level as that guy without the heavy conditioning and sparring, because that's not your cup of tea. You're a surgeon, you're a dental assistant, and you need your hands, and you can't, go spar on a Friday as hard as you and I might spar on a Friday. So that's fine, but everybody's going to be pushed to their max. Again, the fighters generally cost money until they're successful. And a lot of them don't get to that level where they're successful enough to reciprocate that return to your investment. So that will come. That will come with time. The fighters will come.
How do you feel like your style evolved over time? I mean, you mentioned you came from a boxing, European Western style boxing, and then you went into Mike Bernardo's gym to, you were alluding to, he's a K1 style, very big guy, strong power, hooks and low kicks. And then you went to Thailand. So, I mean, 3 distinctly different styles, perhaps. How did you blend those together, and what do you say your style is now?
Definitely very heavy-handed. Elbows, knees, clinch work, low kicks for me personally. We all have to adapt to our strengths and our weaknesses. So my weakness is flexibility in the hips for high kicks.
Sure.
I can head kick, but I wouldn't say I'm so efficient at it that I would risk it unless he was really wobbly already. But I could get that person to that stage very quickly by the power body and head punches, clinch and knee work, and chopping deadly low kicks. Low kicks for me was a given doing Dutch style kickboxing. I mean, Mike went and fought against Ernesto Hurst, and he lost. You know, he threw a 1-2 hook to Mike's head, threw a 1-2 body, faked the low kick. Mike put his leg down and he chopped Mike's leg. Bang! You can watch that. It's out there. So Mike came back to the gym after the loss. You know, a loss there is a lot of loss of income when you lose in such tournaments. You know, it's from $50,000 to $200,000.
K1 Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
Yeah.
That's big money for a South African. Dollar sense, it's huge. You can retire after one fight of $200,000 in South Africa. So he came back, and then we said, okay, Dutch style kickboxing. So we learned that. You know, he fought Andy Hug, and he fought all the greats.
So hands high, eating the punches and the
then
kicks
countering,
and
returning immediately. So
high combination,
high volume fighting, and then pausing, and then more high volume but power. Mm-hmm. So it was a to and fro sort of condition. Mike would always say, you know, if I'm fighting a 12-round boxing fight, and it's a championship fight, which he had done and won, whether he won in the first round or the last round, it didn't change his fight purse. Because as a professional fighter, yeah, you fight for honor and you fight for victory, but you're fighting for money so that you don't have to fight anymore and you can stop fighting. Because you're a prize fighting business. You can't fight forever. You're going to take a certain amount of damage, and then that's your damage is done. Your bar is full of damage, and you can't anymore. So we were always trying to finish as quickly as possible with as much damage as possible. So Muay Khao, you know, style of fighting. We're not a Muay Famurt style of fighting, although you could do it in this gym. I would teach that to you. But me personally, that's not how I would fight. I'm coming forward like a Bokau or Yatse style fighter.
And that evolves well from a Dutch style too, or a Western boxing.
Absolutely.
Got that heavy hands
yeah,
already.
I mean, I woke up watching my dad say, hey, Mike Tyson's fighting. Like, who's Mike Tyson? I was a young boy, 8, 9 years old. He said, well, wake up and watch. And I saw this young guy, aggressive dude, 20 years old, becoming the world heavyweight champion of the world, 20 years old. I'm like, wow, you know, this guy's ferocious, speed, aggression, real brute of a dude, you know. I wouldn't say the best character at that time to look up to as a role model, but as a fighter, he had the intensity that I wanted to have. So, and Mike Bernardo's style of fighting was very much like that, but with the kicks. And then later on with the elbows and the clinch work in Muay Thai. Going to Thailand, of course, learning the nuances of Muay Thai, the root, the stance, the Thai mentality, you know, pain. You have to love it. If you don't love pain, don't do Muay Thai. Just call it quits and leave, because you're going to be in pain a lot. You know, my last 2 fights, I was 41 years old. My son had just fought 3 weeks prior. He lost on points to an older Thai kid. I wasn't supposed to fight that night, but I took the fight because one of the girls had pulled out of the fight, and the promoter was getting upset with the gym that on 2 occasions the fighters didn't pitch. So I said, hey, I'll fight. Who is it? Danua. And a colleague of mine from South Africa had fought Danua before. And he said, yeah, you could beat him. I mean, he's a heavyweight. You know, I was a cruiserweight, but you can beat him. I fought him. You've got this. So I said, okay, I'll fight him. But my legs were strapped. My Achilles were messed. He didn't pitch on the night. And I was wrapped up, oiled up, ready to go. So they were frantically calling somebody, and they called in Chayo, the Thai giant. 6'4", 6'5", 120 kilograms. I'm 90 kilograms. And he's got 3 steps to go to the platform where I'm warming up. And he's as tall as me already. And then the platform, you know, I'm 5'10", he's huge. I lost that fight, blood stoppage. Up until the blood stoppage, I think I had the edge. That fight is out on Facebook. I don't know if it's on my YouTube channel, but it's out there. And I was just boxing. I was outboxing him, out punching him. But then he caught me with an elbow as I came in for a body to a head hook. And he caught me. Yeah, fight went on for a little bit longer. Then the referee stopped it and called the doctor over. And, you know, and at 41, and everybody's saying, you don't need to fight this guy. I'm like, but I'm fighting him. My son's here. I'm not going to stop because of, you know, this. My son is watching. I'm not going to give up. Anyway, the doctor said no. Got some big stitches. 8 days later, I super glued it closed and fought a guy from Canada, a Canadian champion from Tiger Muay Thai gym. He was a southpaw, and he threw an inside leg kick, which we discussed on another day. I turned my knee in, blocked it. He got hurt, threw a straight, a hook, and another straight, knocked him out in 50 seconds. because he did land an overhand on my head, and I felt this scar, like, I could feel it go. I'm like, shit, this is going to bleed all over the place again. So I knocked him out, and that was my last fight as a professional back in, that's 9 years ago already. So, yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah.
2016 or so.
No, April 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So 2017, and then you moved. When did you move to Fort Mill, South Carolina?
We arrived Fort Mill 23rd of October. 23rd of September 2020. Last year, 2024.
Okay, so September 2024, you moved to Fort Mill, South Carolina. Previously, you'd opened a gym in Cape Town, another gym in Cape Town, a gym in Germany, and then you were in a situation where your wife gets the opportunity to come to Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Yeah.
You see this as a good opportunity to open a gym here as well.
Yeah.
Here we are, a month into it. You've got everything built out here. So, I mean, what is the dream? What is the end goal, or what does success look like, I guess, is the better question for you in this journey?
Used to have that mix like we spoke about earlier of, great community in the gym. Everybody's coming here to get better, harder, faster, stronger, healthier. We take it as a holistic approach. We want you to be physically fit, internally physically fit, and emotionally and mentally physically fit by training hard. If you train your mind, the body will follow. Have a good mix of, our youth coming through, changing the youth from, sitting on their cell phones all day, getting them into training, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, Muay Thai, competing on amateur levels. And then, of course, those professional fighters when that time comes, when those guys are ready. I'm pretty determined to make that a success here in this community. There isn't another gym here like that in this location. There's some other gyms out and about, but we're unique in that sense. There isn't another gym here that has a striking coach, in my opinion, that has had my history from where I come, and collectively at 50 years old now. So I have 30 odd years of training experience, coaching experience, fighting experience firsthand. We're going to have Marcelo Monteiro come here early next year, as you know, to come do BJJ seminars with us. So we'll have that lineage to grow our BJJ Academy and potentially grow the gym to a bigger location. Here we have total 3,500 square feet. Eventually, I would like to have 6 or 7 or 8,000 square feet, or who knows where the sky, how big the limit could be. But that's, for me, would be successful. Yeah, a good mix of all of those.
Love it. Awesome.
Thank you so much.